Broadcasting live from somewhere in the Shadow Realm, this is YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Here's your host, Doug Dimmaduel.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of YuGiOh Duel Links Talk. Today, we're going to take a look at a Toon deck build that's pretty much an absolute staple in the meta right now. It's got a pretty simplified strategy, and we'll kind of go through that just a little bit. And a lot of these cards are obtainable through, at least some of them were obtainable through the Pegasus event. So if you were able to go through that Maximilian Pegasus event, you should have gotten some of these cards. And the other pieces are obtained through leveling up Maximilian Pegasus. Now, there are some other cards too that you'll throw in there. Some are obtainable at the card trader. Some are obtainable through certain packs. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of go through this deck list here, and I really think it's pretty good. I like where this one is at, and I do like the benefits that you're able to get out of this one. So one of the staples that you were able to get is Toon Dark Magician Girl. This one was obtainable through the event. This deck runs one copy because I think that was all you were able to get. I think that was an event prize depending on your score. This was an unlockable card, but Toon Dark Magician Girl, it's a level 6, 2000 attack, 1700 defense. As you know, it's a spellcaster and a Toon card, and it cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing one monster while you control Toon World. If Toon World on the field is destroyed, destroy this card. It can't attack your opponent directly unless they control a Toon monster, in which case this card must target a Toon monster for its attack. This card gains 300 attack for every Dark Magician or Magician of Black Chaos in either player's graveyard. So this is just an absolute staple in the deck if you're able to utilize that, mainly because we'll get to a spell card later, but it's called Toon Rollback, and just having that combination between Toon Rollback and Toon Dark Magician Girl, you're able to swing for 4,000 life points and pretty much win the game in one turn. Then they run 3 copies of Toon Summoned Skull, and this card you're able to obtain through the card trader. It's a super rare, so it's going to cost you just a little bit, but it's a level 6 Fiend Toon, 2500 attack, 1200 defense, and it's always treated as an Archfiend card. It cannot be normal summoned or set, and cannot be special summoned unless you control Toon World. It must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing the same number of monsters needed for a tribute summon, normally 1. This card cannot attack the turn it is special summoned, and you must pay 500 life points to declare an attack with this monster. If Toon World on the field is destroyed, destroy this card, and this card can attack your opponent directly unless they control a Toon monster, and if they do, then this card must target a Toon monster for its attacks. So Toon Summon Skull, that's also your next best option. This is the card that you want to see once you get your Toon Kingdom or your Toon World on the field. But yeah, because it's got a 2500 attack, you're able to attack directly for 2500, and you can't go wrong with that. So that's why they run, typically you'll see 3 copies of this run in each of these Toon decks. Really good card. Then this player here, actually in this deck build, put in 3 Skullmark Ladybugs, which is a really good idea. It's a level 4 Earth Insect, 500 attack, 1500 defense. When this card is sent to the graveyard, increase your life points by 1000 points. So this is just another good way to boost your life points, possibly keep you in the game if you don't necessarily have all the cards that you want for your strategy. Having Skullmark Ladybug does make things a little easier and give you a little bit of a better buffer to continue at your strategy. So then you got 3 copies of Toon Mermaid. This is another super rare that was obtainable through the event that Maximilian Pegasus showed up for. So Toon Mermaid is a level 4 Aqua Toon, 1400 attack, 1500 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set. It cannot be special summoned unless you control a face-up Toon World. So anyway, you must first sorry. This card cannot attack the turn it's special summoned, so remember that one. At least there is no cost, at least associated with the summon there, but you must pay 500 life points to declare an attack with this monster. If Toon World on the field is destroyed, destroy this card. It's just the same type of effect, and if your opponent has a Toon monster, Toon Mermaid must target one of those monsters and attack directly. So attack that other Toon monster. So having Toon Mermaid on there, this could set you up for some good plays because you can special summon it, and then Using that special summon, use the special summon to bring out your Toon Summon Skull or your Toon Dark Magician Girl, since it's not going to play by the same rules as your typical normal summon, which you only get one of per turn. So taking advantage of this of the special summon feature really makes things a lot easier on you to get to your boss monster quicker. And boss monster, I mean Toon Summon Skull or Toon Dark Magician Girl. So next is an absolute must-have in this deck, especially with the new field spell card. This is Planet Pathfinder. It's a level 4 machine, 1000 attack, 1000 defense. You contribute this card and add one field spell card from your deck to your hand. So your ideal situation is summoning Planet Pathfinder with your normal summon, activating its effect, search out your Toon Kingdom, and hopefully you can then special summon a Toon Mermaid on the field and then special summon your Toon Summon Skull. That's an ideal play, but honestly, you really your goal is to try and get Toon Kingdom as quickly as possible. So what is Toon Kingdom? Well, that's the next card here. It is a field spell card, and this one is obtainable by bringing Maximilian Pegasus, the legendary duelist, all the way up to level 40, and this is the prize that you get, and boy, is it a good one. This was a game changer. This is what brings Toon Decks absolutely to a tier 1 deck within the meta. When this card is activated, you banish 3 cards from the top of your deck face down. This card's name becomes Toon World while in the field zone. Your opponent cannot target Toon monsters you control with card effects. If a Toon monster you control would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can banish 1 card from the top of your deck face down for each of those monsters instead. So this just adds such a great layer of protection to keep your cards like Toon Summon Skull and Toon Mermaid and Toon Dark Magician Girl on the field, because anytime your opponent maybe uses a monster effect that doesn't necessarily target, say for example Yomi ship, it doesn't target, so they could still be affected by that kind of effect. Then you just protect your monster using Toon Kingdom. You just send a face down card from the top of your deck to your banish zone, and you protect that monster. You keep it on the field so you can attack the next turn. So this is why this card is what you need from the get-go. Now, people have run this deck using It's a Toon World, so you start each duel with Toon World on the field, but it doesn't provide the level of protection that Toon Kingdom does, which is why this deck is really set up with Planet Pathfinder to go search out your Toon Kingdom. You can see how important this is for the strategy of the game. Then typically this deck will run Restart, because at least what Restart does is it gives you 2 opportunities to get at least some of the pieces that you want to make this strategy happen. So anyway, okay, so you understand that Toon Kingdom protects your Toon monsters. Well, what protects your Toon Kingdom? Well, I'm glad you asked, because Magic Reflector, which is a normal card that you can easily obtain at the card trader, will protect your Toon Kingdom. So what this does is you target 1 face-up spell card you control and place 1 counter on it. If it would ever be destroyed, remove the counter instead. So what this does is it really keeps your Toon Kingdom active on the field. Anytime your opponent has any cards that would destroy your spell card here, you get to just remove the counter instead, and your Toon Kingdom stays alive. So it's just full-on protection of your Toon Kingdom, and that's why people typically run 3 Magic Reflectors in the deck, just for that additional protection. Now, Toon Kingdom is not protected from being banished or being sent back to the hand or back into the deck. So depending on what cards are being used, I know that there's that new Ice Barrier Princess card that sends cards back to the hand. Yeah, that could be a bit of a wrench, but at least as far as keeping this card from being destroyed, Magic Reflector is definitely the go-to. But anyway, now back to the Toon cards. Toon Table of Contents is a card that you'll typically see run. It's another searcher card. You add 1 Toon card or Manga Rairan from your deck to your hand. So you could either search out a Toon monster if you already know that you're going to have Toon Kingdom, or you can search out your Toon Kingdom that way. As long as it has Toon in the name, Toon Table of Contents is the card that will search it out. Then you have Toon Rollback. It's a rare that you're obtainable through leveling up Maximilian Pegasus, and what it does is you target 1 Toon monster you control, and it can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. So that's a really good card. Just a really good card, and that's why I was saying at the beginning, you're able to pair up your Toon Dark Magician Girl with Toon Rollback, attack twice for 2,000, and that would essentially be game. Now do the same thing with your Toon Summon Skull, attack twice for 2,500. If your opponent has that life point alpha boost or something like that, where they're going to have 5,000 life points, boom, attack twice, you win. So that's a really quick strategy. And also this card runs Soul Absorption. It's a continuous spell card where if a card is banished, you gain 500 life points for each. So this is just a good combo play because anytime you're going to be protecting one of your monsters, you will be banishing a card. So banishing, or even when you first put your Toon Kingdom on the field, you're banishing 3 cards face down. So 1,500 life point gain right off the bat if you have Soul Absorption on the field. So yeah, there's a lot of good combo plays that you're able to utilize with that just keep your life points increasing. So between Skullmark Ladybug and between Soul Absorption, those are just 2 really, really good cards to keep your life points boosted. And I thought that was a pretty nice touch to this deck. But again, the basic pieces are a Planet Pathfinder, your Toon Kingdom, and whatever Toon monsters you require to try and attack your life points directly, and also the Magic Reflector to protect your Toon Kingdom. So that's pretty much this variation on a Toon deck. Like I said, whenever I run into these in the PvP, I end up, if I'm not running a deck where I do a lot of damage to spell and trap cards or run negate type of plays, there's not a whole lot I can really do to stop this kind of deck if they have all the right pieces that they need. So it's a really powerful deck when it works. That's why Restart is such a good skill for this deck. And overall, this is why it's currently a Tier 1 deck in the current meta. So Toon decks are very, very powerful, and this is just one reason why, and that's why I wanted to kind of go through today's deck list and just kind of explain why Toons are really seeing a resurgence. So if you've been playing around with Toon decks, and I know some people that have, PK Houston there, PKH down there, I know you're definitely a Toon player, and it's always tough to go against. But yeah, so if any of you listeners out there are Toon players, you like playing this type of deck, I'd like to see your deck builds, see what kind of variations you've done. Reach out to me on Twitter at YuGiOh Deck Talk. It's all one word, at YuGiOh Deck Talk, and we may have to do a Toon Deck 2.0 podcast and see what other variations people are using to kind of switch things up and maybe add a few surprises to the Toon deck. So there's a lot going on right now, and this is just one good example of just an all-around solid play style, all-around solid strategy to win you a lot of games and win you a lot of games fast. But anyway, that's it for today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.